Welcome back to the SEO Weekly, where queries are weird, advice is controversial, and everything depends. I'm your host, Garrett Sussman of iPullrank, and we've got a surprise unannounced local search algorithm update that's been running for the last few weeks. Google is trying out a new search dropdown that includes a people also ask, as well as some rich interactive snippets with some images and some visuals there. And we've got some canonicalization, some cannibalization, all the isations spelled in American and British languages. Let's dive in. So yeah, you heard it here. Well, maybe not first, because yesterday Google announced a surprise. They have been rolling out a local search algorithm update that started on the 30th. They said our November 2021 local search update has concluded. It began November 30th and ran through December 8th. It involved a rebalancing of various factors we consider in generating local search results. General guidance for businesses remains the same. So there you have it. That's been going. When asked about it by Callum Scott of Marie Haynes Consulting, Danny Sullivan was basically like, yeah, we don't always get it right. We didn't let you know. We didn't really make an announcement. Sorry about that. But there you have it. If you've been seeing some weird fluctuations with the rankings, there has been an update going out. Speaking of Google kind of messing up, but not really impacting people, they mentioned on Twitter on December 13th that an internal issue is causing an increase of redirect errors during indexing and associated email notifications. This is not due to any website issues, but is due to an internal Google issue. We hope to fix this problem quickly. Now, we don't know if this has been fixed, but mostly what happened was a bunch of people got emails notifying them about redirection error updates. They aren't actually impacting rankings. Some people in the Twitter thread are curious as to whether they are, but usually when Google makes this type of internal error, it doesn't have that type of impact. We'll keep an eye to see how this is resolved, but hopefully it doesn't actually hurt anybody's rankings or traffic. So they've been testing this for a while, but now it's actually very much live in the wild. When you go to search on Google, you will see a drop down with suggested other queries. You will also see on the right-hand side, so this is now edge-to-edge real estate, people also ask queries along with some other kind of visual rich snippets, whether it's like, movies or other companies. They are all showing up in the actual search drop down bar, hopefully to improve your experience finding what you want right out of the gate, as opposed to having to go to the actual search results page. Should be interested to see how they continue to work on this, but hat tip to Brody Clark for finding this, as well as Barry Schwartz pointing this out on Search Engine Roundtable. So, Devs and Suds is a new Google video series with Martin Splitt, where Martin is talking to a bunch of developers or people with development kind of background, talking about the relationship with search. Actually, our own Mike King will be on there. His episode will air on January 12th, but the very first episode came out, and it's cool, it's fun. It's Surma from the Google Chrome Developer Relations team. Him and Martin talk about, the relationship of how you have to take into all these considerations when you're building out your website. They talk about a bunch of different topics, but one specifically in Chrome, how when you are building a website, not only do you need to take all the browsers into consideration, but also SEO. It can be challenging. It's a fun 20-minute video. Definitely check it out and keep your eyes peeled for future installments. Martin's a great host, and it's a fun banter back and forth. Surma is hilarious. There were some really great Twitter threads that came out this week. There were some controversial ones, but the great ones that I really liked started with Helen Pollitt, who asked, if you're getting into SEO, what are some of the things that you should learn first? A lot of great responses. Click the link for the Twitter thread to see everyone's, but some of the ones that stood out to me that I loved was Marissa Ryan pointing out, regularly, aka weekly, dig through Google Search Console. The messier the account, the better. Try to look for patterns and cause and effect correlations. Petra Kisherjeg says, investigate the SERPs every time they search. Competitiveness, how many results were returned and are there ads? Intent, who are SERP features and what are the people also ask? Who's winning? What type of domains are ranking? And what's the intent of the ranked pages? Natasha BD said, learn about how people search and interact with search engines and what drives their behavior. I love Google's concept of micro moments. Learning about those as a student really shaped how I approach search because at the end of the day, we're targeting humans. And then finally, Christine Schachinger, I love her recommendation, says, before you start any task repeatedly, make sure you've read Google SEO Docs, all levels, Google Webmaster Guidelines, how search works, and how algos work. Basically go to the source of truth, that is Google, really study their advice and documentation. It will help you understand any repeated tasks that you need to do in SEO. Great Twitter thread there. Another Twitter thread that I loved was Lyndon Nelson Allen teamed up with Semrush to do one of their epic threads, and he talked all about canonicalization. As always, he goes in depth, provides a lot of insight, starting with, what is canonicalization? What's the reason for it? Why do SEOs care about it in terms of making sure that people are going to the quote unquote right page? And then he dives into, a variety of different types of canonicalization issues. What are these problems that people see for different specific types of variations of links and content? And then some suggestions and solutions as to how to solve them. How do you address specific different types of canonicalization issues that come up in the SEO world? Then, kind of related to canonicalization, I love this Twitter thread that leads to a blog post by Joshua Hardwick from Ahrefs. Joshua talked all about cannibalization, keyword cannibalization, which is a really interesting topic that's coming up more to the forefront. Cannibalization being this idea that if you have many similar articles or types of content, that Google might lower your rankings and your traffic across all of them because it doesn't know which type of keyword you're actually targeting, and thus you're cannibalizing your own content. You're lowering your ranking because you're not like the definitive answer for a specific keyword. Joshua goes into like a lot of misrepresentations of this idea of cannibalization, where it actually is an issue versus where it isn't, and how you can approach that as an SEO. He goes in depth in the Twitter thread and then expands upon it in the blog post. Definitely check those out. Really great advice there. In the world of general SEO, another banger post coming out from the Gray Dot Company agency of Tory Gray. She and Begum Kaya, I hope I pronounced that right, Begum, put together this awesome free SEO templates from the SEO community. So they basically curated all of the top SEO templates, whether they're from like Google Data Studio or Google Sheets, and put them together in one place so you can source all of them and use them yourself. And so they went into a bunch of different topics, basically SEO reporting templates, technical audit templates, content marketing templates, so keyword research and matrices, content briefs, content calendars, content audit templates, competition analysis, link building, SEO maintenance, SEO roadmap, local SEO, even more SEO. Great job there. It's a really useful post because they just curated all of these great templates that are out there on the internet, so you don't have to search for them. Semrush did a really great clinic all around how to analyze your place in the online market and unwrap new growth avenues. They took a website and then they reached out to 5 different expert SEOs and just kind of broke down what works and doesn't work for this website. So, they did the breakdown, they identify opportunities, and these are things that you can see and then apply to your own website as an SEO. So some of them included how to understand your market and create a base for a solid SEO strategy by Himani Kankaria, implementing a technical SEO makeover by Harry Sanders, how to improve your SEO performance with an SEO audit by Nitin Manchanda, and closing the keyword gap by Bree Anderson. Oh, and finally, how to get ideas for amplifying your backlink portfolio by Kure Tuberkuber. So all really smart people who are sharing their insights. I love their video approaches. Definitely a great kind of series of videos from the team at Semrush and their influencers, experts there. When it comes to technical SEO, we put together on iPullrank, our own Andrew McDermott, who writes for us, wrote all about the value of content engineering. He surfaced a lot of great insights that Mike King has spoken about, whether it's with Jason Bernard or on our own webinars, all about content engineering and how you can identify, your audience, your customers, your search engines, and make sure that you're creating content that's pulling the right levers using great content briefs, making sure that you're establishing topical authority and creating the right content that hits the right notes so you rank using a very data-backed scientific approach to content creation. So I love what he did there. Check out that full post. There's a lot of insights in terms of specifically with like your content brief that Mike put together that you can garner some insights from and improve your own content and your approach for SEO. And then Krause Berg on the Search Engine Journal put together a great article all around web design practices that frustrate SEO pros. What I loved about this is it's a very much a holistic approach to SEO and SEM. Addressing the fact that when you are focusing on building a website and creating content, you have different stakeholders that all have similar business goals of ultimately driving revenue. But sometimes if you don't communicate between your designers, your web developers, your content creators, and your SEO, you could ultimately be messing with each other's goals and nobody wins. So for instance, with UX UI, there are all these, best practices for CRO that you're trying to implement, but sometimes those might go against what's going to help you rank, or sometimes there's things that SEOs want to do that don't necessarily work with design aesthetics. Kim goes into it in depth, really great ideas there, and how ultimately it's just important to always have that conversation across all the stakeholders involved with the website. It can get complicated. You can't always please everybody, but at least have the conversation so you understand where everyone's coming from. On the tool side, Cloudflare made a big announcement that they released a new feature that allows you to do bulk redirects. So this is huge. Basically, being able to upload a CSV and set up a whole ton of redirects all at once without writing any code. It'll save you a ton of time. It is the first iteration of this feature. They are going to continue to enhance it to allow for more dynamic URL redirects, but this has been something that Cloudflare users have been asking for a long time. Huge for SEO. Kudos to their team for cranking it out. Great work. And then finally, we had our own Mike King, Colt Sleva, and John Murch join Jeff Coyle of Market Muse and GrepWords. GrepWords just, released their new updated version of, 5 billion plus keywords, and the API allows you to do all sorts of really interesting things with it. So in the webinar, basically over the past week, John, Colt, and Mike came up with all of these specific use cases for the GrepWords database, which were really cool, whether it was around keyword clustering and decision trees based on your keywords, putting search volume into Google Search Console. That was really cool. So you can visualize the actual search volume when you're digging around Search Console using a bookmarklet. John, maybe a couple hours before the webinar, created this really cool feature that allows you to, using a Slack app, if you use Slack, to do a / command to find keyword search volume information right in your Slack channel. There are so many more interesting ideas that came out of that. We will have the replay soon, but if you want to see the deck, we do have the link available now. It's been a great year. On Wednesday, we're going to put out a kind of roundup of all of the surprising, big, small, major things that happened in the world of Google for a final 2021 SEO Weekly episode right before the Christmas holiday. This has been awesome. Last 3 months, we're on episode 15. It's been a lot of fun putting together these videos for you on a weekly basis. I really appreciate everyone being so supportive. If you enjoy this, we will be back in 2022 with style and bigger, better, maybe not, but it's going to keep you up to date on what's going on in the world of SEO. please subscribe, leave us a comment. Just let me know. Shoot me some information. Shoot me an email, Garrett at iPullrank, and let me know how you feel about the SEO Weekly. And as always, if you have a tip or you have something you want included, let me know. Appreciate you. Appreciate all of this and going on this SEO journey with y'all. I really enjoy it. My name is Garrett Sussman at iPullrank, and I am signing off. Thanks again, and I'll see you on Wednesday.